I did. I seriously did. I picked her body up and pushed her out of the shower onto the floor. Took the shower curtain, everything. Because the fallout from that, I knew would be much less than me farting all over myself and pissing all over myself in the shower with this woman for the first time after sex. That would take a little bit more than a minute. Horrible thing. Horrible, tragic way to end a relationship. I just started a relationship with my stepbrother. That sounds strange. I know, that sounds strange. I had not really known my stepbrother very well growing up. You know, we were both parents of different divorces that had been married before. So there's like a lineage of pissed off, dysfunctional people that don't know one another. And he and I were some of those people. But we took a cruise together and got to know one another. That sounds strange too. Yeah, we did though. My stepbrother and I took a cruise together to get to know one another because we really did not know one another. We saw one another occasionally when we were young, you know, growing up, but not really much of anything. And he's married now. I've never been married, but he's married. And I was curious, you know, we were getting to know one another on the cruise and talking about our respective families and the things we had experienced and been through and having a couple glasses of wine and sitting out on the back. That sounds weird too. A relationship with my brother where we took a cruise and got to know one another really well and we're on the balcony having a couple glasses of wine. I realized that this is a series of, but just, okay. So we're on the balcony and we're having a couple glasses of wine and I know he's been married and I've never been married. I've never been married. And I was very curious, you know, what it was like being married. And we had had a couple glasses of wine and so we started talking about it. And I've come close. I've been engaged. It didn't work out. So I've never been married, but he was married. And so we were talking about all sorts of things, you know, what it is that a man and a woman mean to one another in a marriage. And after a couple more glasses of wine, we started talking about intimate things. And he revealed to me that one of the things that his wife does in bed is that she covers her face when she comes. She puts her hands. She puts her hands over her face when she comes. And so he had told me that he had never seen what his wife's face looked like when she had an orgasm. And I offered to tell him, but I did not think that even though we were having a relationship on a cruise as new stepbrothers and having a few glasses of wine out on the balcony, that would be the best thing, and certainly not the best place to tell him something like that. But we're good friends now. We get along very well. Siblings, it's an amazing thing because I'd never really known, you know, what it was like to have siblings. He and I had never really spent time with one another, you know, when we were young. So it was a very interesting thing, getting to know what his perspective was on all sorts of things. You know, what it means to have a mom that pushed you out of her vagina and a father whose penis didn't put you there. That's an interesting thing. Because, you know, the way that people, I think, find themselves in families is, you know, through appearance. And, you know, you look at someone and you say, yeah, that's my parent, or that's my sibling, that's my son, or that's my friend's son, or somebody else, somebody else's son that I'm looking at. It's a very strange thing. Anybody have stepbrothers, stepsisters? Stepbrothers, stepsisters? Yeah, a lot of people do. A lot of people do. It's interesting because my stepbrother is very, very different from me. He's in IT networking. And so he helps people put computer systems together and make sure that they function and that they work. I don't do those kinds of things. And he has a very intellectual way of seeing the world. And he was telling me that the other day he was out driving and he was texting. he's so savvy at IT things and networking that he can text and drive. He can text and drive. Now, I don't think anybody else would admit this, but that's the way it goes with suicide. You know, the person who's doing it is the one who knows it the best. They absolutely are completely aware of this. And so he is the one who is driving down the road committing suicide, and he's telling me that he's texting while he's driving. And this guy pulls up next to him in the other lane and is trying to do the thing of whatever you do in a car to tell somebody else in another car that you're displeased with what they're doing in their car because it's affecting the way that you need to do the things in your car. He's doing this to my brother. And my brother is like, I'm in the right-hand lane. What more do you want from me? Texting while you're driving. You got to be in the right-hand lane. If you're going to text while you drive, you have to be in the right-hand lane. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that.